What is the Stash Blend and what does it do for your plants? Well, me, Pigeons, Mr. Grow It, the team over at Ventana Plant Science, and you guys helped build this. In this video, I'm gonna go over what Stash Blend is, what the benefits of Stash Blend are, how to use Stash Blend, and some commonly asked questions about Stash Blend. Stay tuned. I don't know why I used the last finger to stay tuned too, but stay tuned. This video is for educational purposes only, YouTube. Now, if you're new here, my name is Robin, this is CLtv, and we talk about all things herb. Now today in particular, we're gonna be talking about nutrients. Those nutrients are gonna be Stash Blend. Now, Stash Blend is a product that's gonna help you be able to remove a lot of bottles you're using or a lot of other additives that you're using. Now, Stash Blend is made up of multiple components: an NPK-rich corn steeped liquor, seaweed powder, humic acid, Endom Microa, beneficial bacteria, as well as soluble silicon. Now, what is corn steeped liquor?
I am the liquor.
This is something that me and Pigeons were totally confused on. Mr. Grow It had some knowledge on it. Surprise, surprise.
I think he had studied drugs.
But we really had to have George Murray break it down for us and exactly what it does and how it works. I'll let him explain a little bit of that more because, you know, being the scientist who helped formulate this, he definitely has the knowledge that'll help explain this to make it more understandable and digestible for not just you, but of course your plants.
Yeah, it's just a byproduct of corn milling. And you just end up with a lot of amino acids, sugars, minerals, all the things in the plant that that you like, and then that's spray dried, and it's nice. It ends up just being a really nice base food source, not only for plants but also for biology, and in this case our bacteria and Endom Microa, right?
Now for the seaweed powder, derived from Ascophyllum notisum. Probably butchered that, but that's the scientific terminology. I'm gonna stick with just saying seaweed powder. Combined with potassium hydroxide, it acts as a natural source of potassium, adding in stronger root development and overall plant vigor. Now, oftentimes with seaweed powder, you can see higher levels of heavy metals, but the source that we found has been extremely low in heavy metals, so much so that the Stash Blend has been able to test with flying colors in commercial grow facilities that are using it.
Yeah, there's a seaweed extract, and that's where the potassium hydroxide is coming from. Potassium hydroxide is used in that seaweed extraction. So again, that's another extraction product, right? That's extracted from Ascophyllum notisum seaweed, right, over there off the coast of Ireland. And so that allows you to form a soluble compounds and make that a soluble versus, a seaweed that you would just literally just mill, where you would just club the seaweed out of the ocean, drag it out, dry it, mill it into a powder. You're going to have a lot of material in there that's not water soluble, right? And a lot of, cell-based and a lot of cell walls and other types of fibrous material in there and lignin that, you don't really want. So you want to concentrate down the metabolites that are going to give you the response that you want from seaweed. So the potassium hydroxide is used in that extraction process. And so that's where some of the potassium is coming from. And then the amino acid polymer has some nitrogen in it, of course, coming as an amino acid, and some potassium as well.
The humic acid that's been added in has been sourced from leonardite. Now, this will help the nutrient uptake as well as improve soil structure and the nutrient retention. All these things are beneficial when you're looking to get the most out of your cultivars because you need to get the most out of your nutrients in that soil or media. Utilizing humic acid will help overall with the efficacy of your fertilizer and improve the overall health of your soil, making for a massive impact to your plant's overall growth. Next on the list would be Endom Microa. Now, this is fungi that forms a symbiotic relationship with your roots. Some of the benefits are enhancing nutrient and water uptake, improving plants' resistance to stress, and boost overall plant health and growth. This is commonly used for your root system, whether it be transplanting or just watering and making sure you inoculate that root system. You want to be able to have the strongest rhizosphere possible, otherwise your plants won't thrive as much as they could, regardless of how much nutrients you're putting in. Everything happens within those roots, and if you're not taking care of those properly and adding what you can to increase those, you may not see the best results possible. So we made sure to add that also within this product because I use it on a regular basis. Another thing added in Stash Blend is beneficial bacteria. Now, Stash Blend has a mix of 4 different species, all to help create a healthy microbial environment for your roots. These bacteria stimulate nutrient cycling, breaking down organic matter, and suppress harmful pathogens, leading to improved soil vitality and plant health. Used in various horticulture and agriculture practices to enhance soil and health and support sustainable plant growth, beneficial bacteria is something I recommend all growers should be using, whether it's in Stash Blend or not. Honestly, all of the products that are in here, you want these in your garden. And that's why we made it this way. But there was one that a lot of people seemingly skip out on, and they feel it's just not as important, but I tell you what, it definitely is. And that would be soluble silicon. Now, this is a form of silicon that's easily absorbed by plants. It helps strengthen plant cell walls, improve resistance to pests and diseases, and nutrient uptake, overall helping to fortify the plant's defense mechanisms. There's been a lot of studies about silicon that really show the benefits to it, and it's really why we pushed to get it in here. Now, it was harder to find, it was harder to make happen. A lot of people in the past have struggled with it, but luckily George Murray and his team of brilliant scientists were able to figure this one out for us, and now we finally have it in here. Now, the vigorous growth by adding silicon in versus not is definitely noticeable, and you see this when you're using products that are missing those things. Sometimes it's too expensive to have a whole nother bottle of just this one additive, as we're having it mixed into a blend like this, makes it a lot more affordable and easy to use.
There's two things there that I like. One, we know the importance of silica and silicon, as an element in silica as your compound. That's being taken in a plant either as mono or monosilicic acid. Primarily monosilicic acid. So you've got to attach a hydrogen group to that. And that comes, through part of your soil processes from, releasing acids and the biology and things along those lines. So it's kind of a slow release form of silica that's going to be available to your plant over a longer period of time, with a little bit of it being acid soluble. But if you think about the physiological pH in most of our soil, that acid soluble portion won't mean a lot. So it's doing two things. It's going to be kind of that slow release form where it can be converted into a soluble form that goes up in a plant, but also just from a product formulation perspective, we've got a lot of things in here, a lot of mixes in here that's hygroscopic. So when folks are going into and they're opening their bag or their jar and they're closing it up again, and there's moisture around, a little bit of that silica in there is going to help kind of keep it flowable, so to speak, and absorb some of the moisture, so maybe the other components won't turn to a brick. So it's kind of dual purpose why we've got it in there. It's all through chemistry, right? So you've got your orthosilicic acid, your monosilicic acid, and it depends on how many hydrogen groups hook up to that silica. And the microbes itself, they're going to produce hydrogen as well, ions. So I think they'll accelerate that process. So the plants are releasing hydrogen ions. The biology is releasing hydrogen ions, kind of like pumping in and out. So together they'll and that's how plants take up silica out there in a native environment as well, right? I mean, you've got silica literally everywhere. I mean, sand is pure silica, right? So, but sand isn't available for plants to be taken up. So there's a particle size, and there's that final reaction once you get down to a workable particle size. And it comes from, weathering over a long period of time, your freeze-thaw cycles, things along those lines, water entering in the system, hydrogenating into the system, and these chemical reactions, occurring. There's likely enzymes in the biology that are going to help kind of increase some of that rate of reaction too.
So how do you use the stash blend? Well, it's actually really, really easy. All you have to do is mix half a teaspoon to a teaspoon per gallon of water, mix it up thoroughly so you don't have any clumps that may potentially be in there, and just water it in. You can utilize this like a tea for organic plants, or just water it in with your nutrients regularly like you would any other kind of additive. Now, one thing we have had people talk about before is the product came a little bit clumpy in the package, and that's a question that we've had frequently. Is that okay? Is that normal? Should I freak out? Well, no, relax, you're okay. It's actually pretty normal. All you gotta do is just break this down, whether it be with your measuring device or just quickly with your fingers, and then stir it in. So now we're working on putting humidity packs in each of our stash blend bags to make sure that this is not a regular occurring thing. Because some people, it does startle them at first. I get it. When the product's supposed to be powder and it comes clumpy, brick-like, and you gotta chip it off and cut them up, it's a little weird, I understand. It may seem like there's something wrong with it, but trust me, mine have gotten that way before from not being fully closed, or from where it was stored, or sometimes even from shipping. But all you gotta do is just break that clump up a little bit, mix it into your water it in, and you're good to go. Another question was, can you use stash blend in DWC? Well, you can, we've seen this, but you gotta also realize that when you're adding in bacteria and mycorrhizae to your roots, in a situation like that, you're gonna make sure that you're keeping that water temperature down lower. Now, I'd say around 68 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit to make sure that you're not creating an environment for bad bacteria and pathogens that can really hurt the growth of that plant overall. Another question that I've gotten has been, can you use this as a top feed? With the potassium hydroxide, it can potentially dry your roots out, so it's definitely something that we don't recommend. But who am I to judge? Do what you want. But if you want the best results, follow what's on the package. Oh, and is this just recharge, or is it better than recharge? No, it's a different product. They may have some of the similar components, but it's a different product. If you don't believe me, look at the back of the package, ask Scotty yourself, or join us on From the Stash live on Thursdays over on Twitch, because you can ask there. Of course, big shout out to Scotty and the whole DGC crew. If there's anything else you'd like to see with Stash Blend, this is something that you guys helped us formulate. Literally. You may not have realized this, but over the years on From the Stash, we've been asking little questions, and you guys have been pretty receptive to some of these questions. And with that, it helped us formulate a product that makes sense for not just us, but for you guys as well. So for me and the entire team from Stash Blend, we truly appreciate you guys for all the support. If you're looking to get Stash Blend, just go to stashblend.com. And if you've already purchased it, make sure you do us a favor and leave us a review, whether it be on Amazon or on Grower's House. And with that being said, stay lifted. Also, big thanks to AC Infinity for sponsoring my grow. Whether it be air control, air quality, lighting, or your tent itself, or the entire kit, AC Infinity has got you locked down, and they continue to innovate time after time again with just amazing products. Now, their products go very fast, well, because they're in high demand. Supply and demand is a real thing, and when you got a supply that's as great as this, you better jump on it quick. And when you do, make sure you use CLtv at checkout, and you'll save some money on your order.